I found the message he shared was pretty powerful for an old guy like me, kind of figuring out what the world should look like or could look like. And on top of that, I appreciate the service that his business creates. So I've invited him, and he has 100% supported the effort to come out, and I very much appreciate that, Andrew. Or steal an hour or so of your time today. And the nice thing about it, he's warned us that his beautiful offspring are in the background there. So if we get to hear some noise, we'll know that he's in fact, hasn't got them bound and tied in some corner, but they're living along. So I would like to take a moment, and again, thank you, Andrew, for coming out. And introduce you to the group. There's about 40 people online. On at this point, I'm do my best to make sure everyone has your mics muted. If you have questions, please revert to the chat bar, and we'll do our best to come up to some point, go through the questions you might have, because the interruption verbally is a challenge. So no other ado, Andrew, I give you the opportunity to share the time, and please tell me what we can.
Sounds good.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me, guys. So like I mentioned, I have my kids in the background. They are watching Peppa Pig, so hopefully that puts them. But the odds of a completely distraction-free call are pretty small when they're 2 and 4. But I'll do my best, and we'll record. It's recording as well, so we'll be able to get it back. So basically, what we're going to do today is walk through the Ads Manager. Just for those of you who don't know me, so like I said, I'm Andrew. So I run a marketing agency called Just Sell Homes for the real estate industry. I actually was a RE/MAX agent for a couple of years, just north of Toronto. And then we got bought out by RE/MAX Hallmark, which is one of the biggest ones in Ontario. And they started having me do trainings in the office. And then the corporate RE/MAX for the franchisor RE/MAX Integra asked me to train. So I ended up traveling North America training for RE/MAX. And then every time I did that, agents were asking, can you just do it for us? Which led to where I am now. So now we're a marketing agency that focuses on the real estate industry, and everything we do, like everything I talk about today, is really stuff that we're like actively working in the market today. So we're going to kind of really go through a lot of that. Sorry about the distraction. Normally I'm doing these from my office, but with everything going on, I got to adapt and do it on my computer. Normally I have like a full production thing with lights, and it's great. You guys get the budget version, but that's okay. So we're going to share my screen, and I'm just going to walk you guys through how to use the Ads Manager. If you have questions, jump in anytime. I'm happy to show you exactly how to do it. So yeah, feel free to light up the chat with any questions you guys have. I'll answer them all. Nothing out of bounds. You can ask literally anything. If I can give you an answer, I will. If not, I will try and find it out after. So yeah, feel free to interrupt. But just out of curiosity, you need to do a show of hands or go into the chat. How many of you like regularly run Facebook ads? A few. All right. And of those who run them, how many does that just mean like you hit boost post? It's a good start. I mean, most of you don't do that. So our first thing that I always tell people is just never boost a post. We don't boost them. We never recommend it. I'll go into why. But Facebook ads can be really effective. The nice thing with Facebook ads is there's a lot of different ways to use it, and we'll go through it. But like, you don't always have to do these like big lead gen campaigns. You can do little ones that are more branding focused, and there's a ton of different ways you can leverage it. So hopefully kind of as we walk through it today and show you the different options, you'll get a pretty good idea of what you can actually do with the platform. Then we'll also go into the new rules that came in December for the special category ad, so you can see what all that means and some of the restrictions they're placing on us. And I'll explain why they're doing it. I mean, it's still a pain. So this is my screen. Let me just pull up the chat so I can make sure I still have it on the side here. So this is the Facebook Ads Manager. So if you do want to run ads, I recommend coming here. You can get it, access it when you're like on your regular profile. But if you can't find it, just go to facebook.com/ads manager and it'll take you here. If you've never run an ad before, it'll take you to like a setup screen first, but eventually it'll bring you here. This will list all the past ads that you've done. This is just like a training account, so we don't have past ads in here. These are just like some I've built during filming. So when you look here, you'll see campaign, ad sets, ads is the main piece. Campaign is exactly what it sounds like. So if I want to run like a what's my home worth campaign, that's the campaign. An ad set just means who we're targeting, and you could have multiple targeting groups in one campaign. And then ads is just the ads associated with that campaign. So it's just broken into 3 levels: the high level total campaign, who you're targeting with it, and what you're targeting them with. And then we'll now walk through kind of actually building that out. If your menu here looks a little bit different when you're going through, don't worry. Facebook's constantly kind of tweaking designs. Like every now and then you'll come in and this green button here on the left will be over on the right. That's just Facebook testing to see what seems to get the best responses. So if it does look a little bit differently, don't worry. It all, like, the functions are all the same across the different designs they put out there, but some of them just look a little bit differently, so don't worry about it. So when we click on create, it takes you to this. This page here is actually why you don't want to hit boosted post ever. Because what we have here is your way to tell Facebook what your goal is with this ad to help them optimize your ad. Because when you boost posts, the default is to just pick engagement, which means if you're running an ad, it's someone who's going to like it, comment, or share on it. There are more forms of engagement than like, comment, and sharing. So as an example, like if you write a lot of text and that see more button is there and they click on see more, that counts as an engagement. So every now and then you might see an ad, there's like, you're paying 3 cents in engagement and you spent $50, but you only see 10 likes. It's because some of that engagement is not necessarily a like, a comment, or share. It can be just them engaging with the ad in a different way that's not necessarily publicly visible. But a lot of the times, like, your goal is not engagement, right? Like if I'm going to run an ad and I want to get leads, I don't really care if you comment. I want you to opt in and give me your contact information. But if you don't tell Facebook that's what you want out of it, they don't know. So they can optimize your ads really well, but you have to tell them what you want first. And they can't read your mind on that. Because like, even like if we take a video as an example, just because I have a video and I'm promoting it in my ad doesn't mean my main goal is to have people watch that video. My main goal might be you see the video, but I actually want you to click and go to my website. So, and those can be different groups of people. So like what I always say is, like, if we took 100 people here and we said this group of 100 will click on links and watch a video. This group over here will watch videos but have never clicked on a link in their life. Well, if you say your goal is traffic, then you actually want to, it'll target this group over here who will still watch your video ad, but they'll actually click and go to your website. And it won't show it to this group over here who Facebook knows has never clicked on a link and gone to a website off Facebook ever. So if you tell Facebook, they'll be able to analyze what people's behavior is on the site and then adapt your ad to that right group. But you first have to tell them which one is the one you want them to optimize it for. So I'll go through kind of what these different options mean, and then we'll get into like targeting an ad. So app installs, store traffic, and catalog sales, you can just ignore. Don't worry about those ones. We never use them. I mean, I think app installs we'll use once in a while, but even that's pretty rare. Like, I'm not a huge fan of apps for agents. There's some degree of argument for it as like a conversion tool with clients, but as like an upfront offer, I wouldn't really do an app personally. And then catalog sales and store traffic, just ignore it. Brand awareness, we almost never use, so I wouldn't worry about that one either. Reach, we will use sometimes. What a reach ad is it ignores optimizing your ad. So there's no attempt to optimize it for traffic or engagement or anything. It's just, we're going to show this to the most amount of people possible, regardless of what they might do. So we use this more when we're doing retargeting. So if we're like, hey, I've had 500 people on my website in the last 30 days. I just want to make sure they see this ad. I'm going to say, just do a reach ad, because it's going to make sure it shows to all 500 instead of maybe optimizing it for some of that 500 who might do a specific action. So it's when it's a small audience, like 1,000 or less, we'll go reach. Otherwise, we'll generally use a different one. But that's the only time we will really use a reach ad. Traffic is, a lot of them are fairly self-explanatory, but like traffic, you want to send traffic to a specific page. So I want to send someone to this landing page or to this web page on my website. I want them to look at it. You'd click on traffic. Engagement, again, like I was mentioning, like, comment, share, that, like, engaging with the post, but that doesn't mean that they're going to reach out to you specifically. It just means they're going to engage with that post you create. We don't do engagement a lot. The main time we would do an engagement is for some sellers, like where we know that they really care about the optics of things. sometimes what we'll do is instead of a lead gen, we'll do a lead gen campaign and an engagement campaign for a new listing so that we can show that there's engagement on the post when they want to see it. So it's like a seller appeasement thing, but then we'll separately run a lead gen ad to actually get leads for it. Because if your goal is leads, engagement generally won't drive a lot. So there's two different objectives there. And then video views, just if you have a video and you want to get the most amount of people watching it, you select video views. If for benchmarks, you should probably be paying about 2 to 4 cents a video view. 4 cents is kind of on the higher end of video views, but 2 to 4 cents is where most people are, but you can definitely get that down even lower sometimes. Video views on Facebook are really cheap. And what I like about that is then you can retarget based on video. So you can say like, hey, people who have watched X amount of my video, show them this ad. And that's just a really effective way to run some of those retargeting campaigns. Lead generation ads. So if your website isn't great at converting leads, lead generation is perfect for you. So this is the easiest way to get volume of leads. And basically what a lead gen ad is when you select this, when someone clicks on your ad, it actually pops up a form pre-filled in on Facebook, and it's pre-filled in with the contact information from their Facebook account. So their cell phone number, their email that they have connected to Facebook, Facebook just auto-populates that form for them. So it's a really fast and easy way because it's filled in. The downside of that is it's kind of like Apple's terms and conditions for some people, that they click accept, not realizing they're giving you their contact information. So it's a certain percentage of those leads you'll call to be like, I didn't opt into anything. Who are you? That's just because they didn't realize when that pop-up came and they thought they were maybe dismissing it, they were actually giving you their contact info. There are ways to make them confirm they're giving it to you. Every time you add in something like that to make them confirm, you're going to get a little bit less leads. So it's finding that kind of sweet spot for you where you are in the quantity versus quality for the leads coming in. The other downside of lead generation ads is they do not actually send you the leads automatically. You can now get an email or a notification on your Facebook that says you have a new lead, but you still have to go to the back end of your page to actually download it. And that's a bit of a pain. Now, if you, depending on your CRM, you could actually use your CRM to integrate directly with Facebook if they have that. And if not, Zapier or Zapier, those can just go right in, sit there kind of in the back, and every time a lead comes in, either email it to you or flip that right over into your CRM. But my recommendation, if you're going to run lead gen ads, because how quickly you respond to a lead, whether it's you personally or an automation, I wouldn't do a lead gen ad personally unless I had something set up here. So I would always have something set up there for lead gen ads. And then messages, this is if they click on your ad, it just opens up a message with your business page. So you can just chat with them. What we found for the most part is the cost per messages and the cost per lead under lead gen is about the same if you do it right. And if I'm paying the same thing, I would rather get their email and phone number through a lead gen ad than a message with my page. The upside of messages over a lead gen is that it's a lot quicker because you don't have to like set up a form. You don't have to set up any integrations. You just say messages. It just messages your business page when they click on it. You do get a lot of people who will respond and just say, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to click on that. That was an accident. Because when they click, it basically like auto starts the message for them. So you definitely get people who didn't mean to do it. And depending on how you are at dealing with that type of message, I mean, it's up to you if you want to try it. Personally, I'm not a big fan of messages ad. The only time we do them is like some of the client has like a coming soon. They just want to get out, but we have nowhere to send them yet or anything like that. We might just do like a message us for more details when it's ready, but that's more, we don't use them that often. And then the last one here, conversions. I personally, if I were you guys, I wouldn't get into the conversion ads until you're a little bit more comfortable with the platform. Because basically what the conversion ads is like, let's say we have a page here that's like your listing page. And on that page for your listing on your website, you have a form. When someone fills in that form, you could redirect them to another page. And that secondary page, you're going to add an extra piece of code that tells Facebook anyone who comes here is a lead. So the only way to get to that second page is if they've become a lead for you. And that extra piece of code will tell Facebook everyone who comes here is a lead. Then they'll analyze everyone who's been to that page and then find you the most similar people on Facebook to those who have become a lead before. And over time, they'll further optimize your ad to show it to the right people. So instead of just sending people to a landing page with traffic, a conversion will help optimize it more. But the reason I say wait until you're comfortable with the platform, because if you screw up where you put that second piece of pixel on the site, it can throw off all the metrics and cause a problem. So generally, I'm like, don't get into the conversion stuff till you're a little bit more comfortable with the platform, or you've just hired someone who knows how to do it properly. But at the beginning, just as you're kind of getting your feet wet, I would stick with traffic for now, or lead gen. But today I'm going to show you a lead gen ad because I know a lot of people want leads. So this way I can actually show you how to do it fairly simply. And then we'll go continue here. So you always give your campaign a name. I mean, I always just do what, so if we're doing one and we'll say it's for like a listing, we'll just do like 123 Main Street, just listed. Just so we know at a quick glance, because this is when you go into your ads manager, this is what you're gonna see at first. So usually, and no one else will see this but you. This is just for you to like quickly identify what the campaign is. So I just put a little name there. And because like right now, if we're talking about doing it for a listing, you do have to turn on special ad category. And then you pick housing. Basically what that does is it's telling Facebook, this is a thing for, you know, a special, because housing is a human right. They've limited the ability for you to potentially exclude anyone. The reason they did this is it started because of in Oakland, a landlord got caught advertising his rental building for tenants, but he specifically excluded Black people from seeing the ad. And then he got caught doing that. And then, so Facebook, if you guys remember a little while ago, you used to like certify you're complying with local laws to actually be able to run the ad. Well, after that, people like once you certified you're complying, you could go back to discriminating. And then someone else got caught doing the same thing. Minneapolis, Facebook got fined $1 billion. So they brought in this piece here where now they're just not giving you the option to potentially discriminate against anyone. So technically, it's only supposed to be for listings for sale or for lease that this is here for. What we've found since they launched it is they are basically blanketing all real estate ads with it. So it's a bit of a pain in the butt right now. Like once they've kind of like settled down and they've got everything back kind of smooth again, we're going to start taking special category off for non-listing related ads. Like so if we're targeting sellers, we're going to start taking it off again. The good news is right now that we've been testing, it hasn't impacted results that much. Like our cost per lead for the most part has stayed the same. The biggest downside is if you like work a specific farm neighborhood, is that now the smallest radius you can do is a 15-mile radius with your ad. So we'll show you kind of some ways around that and how to like make it work still. But that's the biggest pain for a lot of people is that you can't exclude anyone from seeing your ad and you can't go smaller than a 15-mile radius. But if you do, I'll turn it off and then I'll come back and turn it on. But if I turn it off, I have a ton more targeting options. When it's turned on, I'll quickly show you kind of what they allow you to do. So as you can see here, I can change location, but say I just went and said, sometimes I can even put in let's put it in like Langley. Again, 15-mile radius will be the smallest they would let me go. And you can see here, like that even goes into the US. It's a bit of a pain. Like that's not a perfect way you'd want your ad being run. So if you're okay with it going into the US, then you would do it like that. Otherwise, you'd basically just have to move the pin up until it doesn't hit that border anymore. That's the big pain right now because like you can't even like what you used to be able to do, exclude an area. So depending on kind of exactly where your pin is, you might have to move it a little bit just so that you don't put it somewhere that you don't want. Now, if you're okay with it running into the US, then don't worry about it. But for when you're doing a housing category, you can't change smaller than that 15-mile radius. You also can't change the age from 18 and up. So the biggest kind of way we found around this is to just put the price in the ad and put pricing in it, because every now and then you might get an 18-year-old if you don't have a price being like, well, maybe there's a special deal out there I could get if I opt in. But if we're like, hey, this is a $1.3 million property, generally gets rid of the 18-year-olds pretty quick on that one. But that, again, it's a little bit of testing of what works for you. You also can't change gender, and you can't exclude anyone from your ad. So all the ads we used to do, we always excluded agents from seeing the ads, because obviously if you're a realtor, you don't really care to pay for other agents to see your ads. So we used to exclude that. You can't anymore. And then on the inclusions, they've actually really narrowed down what you're allowed to do. So there's just like some generic terms. What we've been doing is we'll just do the 15-mile radius, assuming that's a big enough area. And we won't touch anything else. We'll just leave it. Because the beauty of Facebook is that they actually know more about this stuff than any of you. Like the amount of data they have on people, they're still optimizing your ads. So if I say I want leads, they know that for real estate, good leads that'll keep me advertising are those older ones. They know who's interested in real estate. So we actually leave the majority of this targeting blank now. And we found that it hasn't really impacted our cost per lead at all. So like you don't even have to really get into a lot of targeting anymore when it's especially for listings because of that reason. Now we do change our copy now to match what we want. And we use our copy of the ad as like our targeting feature to go into our ideal client. And I'll show you how we do that when we get to writing the ad. But when you're doing special category right now, basically just leave targeting as is outside of just narrowing down exactly where you want that ad run. Because if you don't touch the geography, it'll go to a 15-mile, or it'll go to like all of Canada. But I'm just going to quickly turn off special category housing so you can kind of see what some of the other options are for targeting. Because what you could do is do like a non-real estate specific ad, target it, and then leverage that audience to run your next one. Because when you do a special category ad, you can still run it to what's called a custom audience. And what a custom audience is, that's your retargeting. So hypothetically, if I did like a video of like top 3 things you'd want to know about living in Langley, that's not real estate housing. That's just a video promoting Langley. But then I could say anyone who's watched 25% of this video, show them this real estate ad. And that ad, even though it's still subjected to the rules, the first video ad, I can target it as much as I want. So I can run that ad only in Langley, get a lot of views from Langley people, then go and say the second ad that is special category, let's advertise it just to that group of people who watched that video. And I know that those are the people in my area. So it's sometimes if you want to kind of only target your area and that's smaller than that 15 miles, you run an ad first with a video that people they would probably watch, and then you just run the ad that you want to the people who watched that video. Otherwise, like if there's other things you want to advertise, for example, like if I come again, Langley here, and it's not a special category, I could actually come take this and go down to that way 10 miles when you type in like the name of an area. If you type in a specific address, you can go to 1 mile, or I can actually just drop a pin and then come in here and flip that down to a 1 mile radius. And where it gets really interesting too is if you want to make it even more specific, grab another pin, drop it just outside, bring that down to 1 mile, and then hit exclude. And this is how you can actually get really specific with your ads. This works really well for more branding stuff. So as an example, well, there's a couple different ways to work. One of my favorite ways for this that we used to do is, and some clients we still do it for, you ever have a pain in the butt seller who's always asking you like, what are you doing to sell my property? We would just target their house with ads. Now because of the new rules, that's not as, you can't do it with a specific listing, but this is how you do it. The other one we do now though, is when a client has like a listing appointment coming up, is sometimes we'll actually target the house where the listing appointment is with client testimonial videos. So like leading up to the listing presentation, you're just hitting their house with client testimonials. So this is a really effective way to do it. Or if you're a team and you're recruiting agents to your team, you can actually just drop pins on top of the real estate offices. We've done that. We actually, we worked with an agent in a town where there's only 30 agents total. He had 12 of them already. And there's only 3 other agents in town he wanted on his team. And he knew where they lived. So we just dropped a pin on each of their houses. And we just ran an ad to those 3 agents specifically. So if you know how to do things like that, you can really get creative with your ads. But again, right now, I'd say I'd still give it another few weeks till you try to not use special category in any real estate ads, because Facebook, because it just happened, is clamping down quite a bit. So I'd wait a bit to bring this in. And the other option is we can actually go by postal code. Like, what's the first 3 digits of the postal code where you are?
V4N.
V4N.
Oh, sorry. Well, close enough.
Yeah, that works. All right, let's take out these other ones. So that's another way you can do it. Again, right now, I wouldn't go that specific right now just because of the issues With the special category ads, I'd still give it a little bit till you start trying to take that out of the ones it doesn't have to be in. But when you do want to start getting really specific, this is a great way to do it. Especially if you're doing like postal walks, like one we recommend, and use like daughter's drawing here to do it. But like if you send mail out, like especially direct mail out to a postal walk, hold up like that copy of the postcard you have and be like, hey guys, this is going to be in your inbox or in your mailbox this week. If you want to take advantage of the offer on this, just you can also click below here instead of typing it into your computer. So it kind of works with what you're doing. And like I used to do that for door knocking. That's actually how I got my first ever listing appointment. I knocked on their door. They said not interested, but I had been running an ad with my face and the Remax logo to the area I was door knocking. That night she saw it, messaged and just said, hey, you actually knocked on my door today. I actually am thinking of selling my home. Do you mind coming back tomorrow when my husband's home? And I ended up getting the listing appointment that way. So it can work pretty well. The other ways I've used kind of going really specific with my targeting is like I used to coach basketball, for example. And I didn't want to be that annoying guy who was like, I'm coaching your kids, by the way, if you're thinking about selling in real estate, I'd be happy to help. So instead what I did is actually targeted the gym during games with my face and the Remax logo. And I'd start getting parents coming up to me after games being like, funny coincidence. I just saw on Facebook that you're in real estate. Can we chat for a few minutes? I'd be like, that is a funny coincidence. Sure, we can chat. And it started working really, really well doing that because I knew where I would be. The key now for that would be not to at all talk about real estate in the ad so that you can do that really hyper targeting. And that's the beauty of like the Remax balloon being so recognizable is for that type of ad, all you would have to do is put the Remax balloon next to your face where you're going to be, and then just say, hey, you'll know, like they'll know to talk to you. You're just letting them know when they see you in person that you're in real estate and reminding them about it. So like we've had clients do that with like the grocery store they go to always. I mean, right now a little bit harder since you'd be wearing a mask, but one of those things to remember down the road is doing that. We've had another client who did it for the gym. So he went 5 days to the week to the gym from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. every morning, Monday to Friday. So for those 2 hours, we also ran an ad to the gym being like, hey, if you see me working out, feel free to say hi. And it wasn't a huge lead generator for him, but every now and then, he'd spend $2 a day on that ad. And every now and then you get people coming up to him in the gym being like, hey, I saw on Facebook that you're in real estate. And they just have a chat with him. So it just led to more conversations that way. So you can get really creative with your kind of geographic targeting if you're not directly advertising a house for sale. If you are doing that house for sale, though, you do have to turn this on, and you can't do a ton on the front for this. It's unfortunate, but it's not the worst. If you do want to get into like targeting, let me just change the page here to mine. Oh. There we go. All right. So if you do want to target, the way that again here into the interests, you're limited this way you can do it of what you're allowed to do. But if you're not doing a special category ad, we recommend choosing your interest by the 3 Fs. Because if you pick like a generic thing like real estate as an example, well, the people who are mostly interested in real estate are like you guys and mortgage brokers. Like you and the ones that they would say are most likely to be interested in real estate. So you want to pick other interests that only your ideal clients would have. So I'll use like real estate agents as the example because since you guys are all real estate agents, it'll hit home a little bit more. So when we look at the 3 Fs, we're trying to target someone. The first one we look at is who do they follow? So the people you're trying to target, who do they follow online? So if it's a real estate agent you were targeting, it'd be like Tom Ferry, Mike Ferry, Brian Buffini, Gary Keller, people like that. Not everyone's available. Like for example, there's no coach in Canada that's big enough on Facebook to be allowed to be targeted that way, but all the big American coaches are there to target. So looking at like, again, who are they following? Because like someone who might follow, Gary Vee is very different than someone who might follow Kim Kardashian. But someone who follows Gary Vee and Kim Kardashian is also a very specific type of person. So knowing who your ideal client follows matters. But it's also important that who you pick is what we call famous to the family. And that means they're famous to the group you're targeting, but not to anybody else. So like Tom Ferry is a great example of this. If Tom Ferry goes to a real estate conference, most people are going to be pretty excited because he's a big name in the industry. But if he walked out of that conference center, it could be hours until anyone even recognizes who he is because no one outside of real estate has any idea who Tom Ferry is. That's what you want to go for. So like if you were to try to target golfers because you have like a home on a golf course, you can't pick Tiger Woods as the person they would follow because so many people follow Tiger Woods who don't care about golf. You'd want to pick like a Jordan Spieth, a Bubba Watson, a Bryce DeChambeau, like that type of person who famous to golfers, but outside of golfers and maybe their spouses who overhear them, people would have no idea who they are. So that's what you want to go with from that perspective. So that's F number one is the follow. F number two is frequent. So where are they spending their time? So like, are they going to ESPN.com or Vogue? Are they going to Architectural Digest? Where are they going online? That will allow you to target them. If we're doing real estate, that's like your Inman News, your RIS Media, and things like that. So you're just looking at those different ones there. But again, just think about who are we trying to target? Where are they spending their time online? And then the last one, the last F is fund. So where are they spending their money? Are they a Tim Hortons person or a Starbucks person? You can also look at like from a real estate perspective, that'd be like your real estate webmasters, your dot loops, companies like that. But you got to be careful again to that famous of the family idea. Like you can use dot loop as a targeting for agents, but you couldn't use DocuSign because DocuSign's used a lot out of the real estate industry too, just in regular business. So if you excluded DocuSign, you'd be losing just a lot of business people too. So yeah, you have to be very careful when you're selecting interests that it's only that group you're going after. Similarly, if you're trying to target people in a specific language, so if you're trying to target non-English speaking people, you think, oh, all right, if I was to, we had a client who was speaking Punjabi, and we were trying to specifically go after people who also spoke that. So we looked at like what interests they have, and we found like some Bollywood movie stars who spoke that language, and we're like, well, the only people who would follow these stars would be people who speak that language, so we picked them. And like we will also do like those language newspapers that are big, because if they're reading that, then they can speak that language. Generally speaking, that's been the most effective way to target languages instead of trying to do it down here under languages. Because a lot of people, even if they speak another language, don't tell Facebook they do. They're just signing up under English or one language. They're not going in and listing 3 or 4 languages that they have. So we'll often just leave this one as all and go by interests of trying to target people who speak those different languages. Does that make sense? Any questions on targeting so far? We're good. So yeah, like you are fairly limited right now in what we can do just because of this new rule. But eventually we'll have a little bit more flexibility once things calm down a little bit. And then let's go up. And we'll have to change the targeting for a sec just because we're a special category and you can't target that specific. So we'll go back to just saying Langley. All right, so then the next piece we look at is budgeting, which they moved up here. So it used to be under targeting. So here you can see we have 1 million people as our potential reach. That's just the amount of people that are in the audience we've picked right now. This number here of estimated daily results, I just recommend ignoring that. It can be somewhat accurate if you're like doing e-commerce, so you're selling like t-shirts on Facebook. We found for any local business, especially real estate or any other service-based business, these numbers are never that accurate. So for the most part, we just ignore that this exists. But we do look at this. So this is just how many people are in the audience. So because it's very broad right now, it's quite a bit of people, but we can come and switch like, okay, I want people who live in these locations. That brings it, we lost 80,000 people, but now it's only people who actually live here instead of maybe people passing through. And that's a good one to do. You can't change too much else. So you might want to bring some other things, but when we're looking at budget, we don't really want to go below the $10 a day per 100,000 people in the audience. Too much. Sorry, you don't want to go over that too much. Like, I'm not saying you have to spend $92 a day to reach these people with your ads. But I also wouldn't go like $5 a day. I'd probably put this one minimum $10 a day ad spend. But say hypothetically this audience size was 50,000, you wouldn't want to put a $20 a day budget if you want the ad to last a long time. That $10 per 100,000 is what we found to be that sweet spot for this ad can go for a long time. Make sure people see it enough, but not so much that they just get annoyed by you and want you to go away. So it's that sweet spot between the two that we've found as a rough rule of thumb to use. You don't have as much flexibility to change this. And then sometimes what you can do, and again, you can't do a ton of targeting, but when you go like sellers and it's not listing, doing things like targeting Home Depot can be a great way to target homeowners. Because like one of the things you want to think about, like with those 3Fs, is who else would be targeting homeowners that I could just piggyback off? Because like Home Depot, generally speaking, doesn't care about tenants because they don't spend as much money as homeowners. So if you target Home Depot and like appliance companies, you're more likely to then be piggybacking off their spend to get homeowners. So you can start looking at different things like that. But for targeting, that's how we do it. And then again, our budget is normally in that $10 a day per 100,000 as a framework. If we're doing retargeting, you can definitely bring that down to like the $3 to $5 a day, no problem. If it's a short run ad, just spend whatever you want. Most people know this, but I have seen a few agents who've cost themselves a bunch of money. So just make sure in case anyone's here. If you start an ad and you set like a lifetime budget, like if I come in here and I've seen this happen, lifetime budget of like say $1,500, and after 2 days I don't like the ad anymore, I don't have to let the ad finish. I can just turn it off at any point and just say, I don't want to spend anymore. Like I spent $50, I can turn it off and save $1,450. We actually had a client come to us, or a potential client. On 1 second, listen. You can have one marshmallow, then you got to be quiet, okay? All right.
Good sales job.
All right, go watch Peppa. All right.
Andrew,
I'm watching something on my iPad.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, yeah, Brian?
when you said you could target Home Depot, where would I put that in on the?
Yeah. So just because right now I'm in a special category ad, it won't let me do that because again, it restricts the categories. So if I turned this off and then I was just doing a non-special category version to target a homeowner, I would come into this part here and type in Home Depot.
Just like that.
Yeah. And then sometimes like if you type it in, it doesn't always come up right away. Sometimes just like if you hit like backspace once and then try it again, sometimes it gets a little finicky, but anything big like that will be there. But the same with like agents. Like if I want to target Inman, sometimes I'll type in Inman and it doesn't always show up right away. But then other times it'll show up perfectly. So anything you can type in here, and then you can also exclude this way too. So if you want to come in, like if I want to exclude agents from an ad, I would just come in here and do that. And I could do like Home Depot here. But then the other cool thing I can do is I could also say narrow it further and say, okay, I want people who are interested in Home Depot, but then they're also parents. And like now this ad is only going out to people interested in Home Depot who are also parents. If you really knew who that specific group was. And like now the audience size is only 26,000. And then you can add in things like married and different things. One good group to target, engaged people over 40, because there's normally a couple deals to be made there. And it's really small, so they're cheap to reach. So it works out.
Thank you.
No problem. Let me turn on special category again here. All right. I have to take these out. So they would just disable all this if I tried to run it still. Which part are they? Yeah, here we go. All right. So that's budget. The next piece here is placement. So this is where's your ad actually running? Because it's not just Facebook. Your ads are going to run on Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, WhatsApp, and what's called the Facebook Audience Network. If you guys have heard any of the drama in the news between Facebook and Apple, it's mostly related to this piece here around the Audience Network. When we're running a lead gen ad, which is the ads we're talking about where when they click on it, it pops up pre-filled in with their contact info. You can't run that on the Audience Network anyways, because people will see that who don't even have it. I see there's a question, what was the second F in the 3 Fs? So it was follow, frequent, and fund. So which websites are they frequenting is probably the one that I mentioned second. So the iOS 14 thing that their Facebook's complaining about is literally just now when someone's going to advertise like in an Apple app, someone has to opt in to be allowed to be tracked. So it used to be you could opt out of being tracked, but now Facebook's going to put a pop-up that says this app would like to track you, or on behalf of Facebook, basically. Would you like that? Yes or no? Facebook is assuming over almost everyone will say no by default. So they think that'll hurt them. I don't think for real estate, this will have much impact. I think if you run a Facebook game, like if you run Candy Crush, it will have a big impact on you because you won't be able to make as much money running ads, which will mean you'll have to get a subscription like revenue model, which is really what Apple's doing here is they're essentially forcing app developers to use them to run ads because Apple actually gets a cut of any app subscription fees, 30% of revenue if you get payments through your app. But if you are running audience network ads through Facebook, Apple actually got none of that. So this is really just a way for Apple to take the money instead of Facebook, which is why they're having this big public pissing contest where like Facebook is putting out ads in the New York Times saying they're hurting small businesses. It's actually not that big a deal for small businesses, I don't think. Again, this is mostly a big deal for Apple and Facebook. Everyone else, it might increase ad spend a little bit, but I don't think it'll be a big deal. The bigger deal coming is that Google Chrome's announced that by 2022, they're going to start blocking the Facebook pixel from tracking people, which will mean like website retargeting and different things like that. That will change. So that's going to make retargeting a lot harder in the future. And what that will mean is you'll have to focus more on building an audience on Facebook because they'll always be able to track people on Facebook and what they're doing, regardless of what Chrome does, because you have to be signed into your account. So you'll still be allowed to retarget them that way. So like video content, engaging content on your Facebook will allow you still to retarget them. So that's going to be one adjustment that might have to be made. It might push out past 2022 because that was the date they gave when pre-COVID. But obviously everyone is changing kind of all their expectations because everyone kind of got pulled aside. So the reason they said 2022 instead of bringing that in right away is they were giving companies like Facebook time to adapt and come up with a more privacy friendly way to track people. So we'll just have to wait and see kind of if anything changes there. But otherwise it'll just make it more important on your side. Okay. So I'll quickly run through the different options here. Then we'll actually just get into building an ad. So feeds is just the main feeds that you see. So like Facebook news feed here, you log into Facebook, shows up. This is always the most valuable place to put an ad. It's where, 9.9 times out of 10, you're going to get the best results. Instagram feed is actually not a great place for leads. So when we're doing paid advertising, Instagram's terrible, to be honest. But it's so good on the organic side. And Facebook, for the most part, is the opposite. Just like regular business page organic is not great. There's like a lot of value in the organic on like your personal and in groups and stuff like that. But your business page organic without any money behind it's not good. Whereas your organic on Instagram is one of the best places for business on social media right now, especially Instagram stories. But paid Instagram ads from a lead generation standpoint are like maybe like if I run an ad today with an equal budget, 90% of my leads are going to come from Facebook over Instagram. It's just a more effective platform right now to get leads. And I think part of the reason is if you use both, think about how you use it. Like you're used to being on Facebook and clicking off and doing other things while you're there. Whereas Instagram's always been this place where you go on Instagram and stay on Instagram. It's not a place where people are used to leaving the platform. So if you're trying to send them somewhere to get lead gen, it's just not as popular of a method to do it. But it's still like if you leave it on automatic placements, it's okay because Facebook's going to optimize it to get you the most results. And because Facebook newsfeed drives more, they're going to mostly show your ad on the Facebook newsfeed over the Instagram feed anyways. Facebook Marketplace, that's just where it's like their version of Kijiji. The video feeds in right column for this version, you can't even run it on there, so it's okay. But that's just right column's desktop only, which is a small amount of traffic. Video feed is just like after they finish watching a video, if you want your video to scroll up next. Same with Instagram Explorer. Messenger inbox, that's again very low level one that almost no one ever uses. So you don't have to worry about that. It's just like a little banner ad in their Messenger app. Stories, similarly, like these are great, I find, for branding, but it's a low source of leads right now. Where this works really well for leads is if you have a good established presence already on these. So if people are used to seeing you in stories and you have a good following, that's where Instagram story ads do really well. But like, for example, if you're not even on Instagram, you can still run Instagram story ads. Those we found the numbers are pretty low on them. But running story ads when we have a client who's like, you would actually be considered an influencer. Like he gets paid to promote like Casper mattresses and stuff like that on top of his real estate business is in his Instagram feed. Instagram stories for him do very well. But that's again, he has a very highly engaged audience. So it just works. In-stream ads, this is for video only. This is basically when someone's watching a video, this will stop the video, force them to watch the ad, and then they can go back to watching their video after they see your ad. Search is just when they click search. Messages, you can ignore this. This is more for like a Starbucks where, Starbucks might get 1,000 direct messages a day on their business page. This allows them to shoot a single message out to everyone who messages their page between a certain time. Generally speaking, real estate agents don't get a volume of messages so high that you shouldn't just respond to each one individually. Like the busiest page we kind of worked was getting maybe like 15 organic messages a day at its peak when we were trying to get messages. It's not a big deal. Like you can just message those and follow them up. I would ignore this. In article, it's just when there's a news article on Facebook, you can click on it. It's a banner ad in there. And then this apps and sites are just the different apps connected. Again, because we're doing a lead gen ad, you're not even allowed to run these ads on there. Otherwise, we don't really use them that much anyways. But for the most part, I think for the majority of your ads, just leave it on automatic placements. Sometimes what we'll do is we'll come in, where is it here? Or did they moved it? I love when they move things on me when I'm doing a presentation. It's my favorite thing that Facebook does for me. Where did they move it to? Not here. All right, we'll have to find where they moved it, but there is an option where you can say only show this ad when connected to Wi-Fi. It used to be right here. Oh, no, now it is. Did I just miss that last time? So click on only when connected to Wi-Fi if you're doing a video ad that's longer than about 5 minutes. If it's under 5 minutes, it doesn't matter, but we found that if we have a video ad that's more than 5 minutes long, that people generally don't watch it unless they're connected to Wi-Fi. Not necessarily because they don't want to watch a video on Wi-Fi. It just means if they are somewhere that has Wi-Fi, it's probably like their house or the office, or mostly the house right now. They're more likely to sit and watch a 5-minute video because they have that ability to do it. Whereas if they're out and about, the odds of someone sitting when they're out and about and watching a 5-minute video, pretty small, especially if it's an ad. So we'll do only connected. And then sometimes if it's a even longer one, we might switch. There's another option to go like desktop only. Here, in terms of like iOS devices, Android devices only, I would never touch that unless you're like so dialed in on who your ideal client is. They're like, I will only work with people who have iPhones. Unless you're like super dialed in like that, I wouldn't worry about this. I'd just let it run to every device. Otherwise, you can block people, but I think Facebook, they're pretty good about where they allow your ads to be shown. But if you're specifically like, hey, there's certain types of sites and things like that, or topics I don't want my ads showing anywhere near, you can add in different things like that. And this, to be honest, you can leave. The only thing here, you can get it and change a few, but because we're doing lead generation, it doesn't let you change a lot here. There's other versions you can change, but personally, I would leave this section, optimization and delivery, alone. What Facebook has as a default will get you the best results. And if you go change it around, it might actually hurt you more than help. So I would just leave that. All right. So this is where we actually build the ad. So an interesting thing that most people don't expect, because like I'm sure you guys have all heard about how important video is, and I mean, to a degree, I think that that's not true. I mean, and this comes from someone who releases anywhere from 2 to 10 videos a week on social. I think video has a place. I think it's very important. It has a lot of value, but video is to a degree also overrated. Like how many people here have clicked on something on Facebook, for example, gone to a news article, and it was video instead of text, so you just left without watching it because you only wanted to read instead of watch a video. Like that's a real thing that happens a lot. And there's also people who don't want to watch a video for every little thing. Or like some people prefer reading. Like if you're just confirming an appointment with me, I don't need a 30-second video of saying, hey, your appointment's confirmed, looking forward to seeing you. You can just say appointment confirmed, see you at 3 in a text, and I'd be happier. There's a time and place for video. And what we've found is with lead gen, if your goal is more leads, an image outperforms video for leads every single time. Like with an example with listings, if our goal is leads, we average $1 to $3 a lead with an image, and $4 to $8 a lead with a video. But with a video, where the value is there is the branding to the other sellers in the area. So to me, like listing videos are less about selling the house and more about getting the next seller. And there's a ton of value there. So you have to kind of make that decision. Do I want more leads or do I favor the branding bonus of the video that could go out? And you could actually run both if you wanted. But if you specifically, your main goal is leads, switch and do an image over a video because you will get more leads that way. Carousel ads, we almost never use. If you're not familiar with carousel, that's basically where you can click on it and they can just scroll through, like slide across the screen and look at the different cards. Generally found like you get a lot of like accidental clicks and not as good results. The only 2 times we really use these, one would be if you have like a beautiful panoramic view from one of your listings, then we take that panoramic shot and then break it across so they can almost slide and watch the panorama. Whereas like if you try to condense a panoramic shot into one image, it doesn't look great, but it's kind of a cool way to do it on carousel. The other time would be like if you didn't want to spend money on 4 different ads for 4 different listings, and if you had 4 at a time, you could actually just make each card a different listing, and that one can work pretty well. The other one we're starting to test now, that the special category ad option, because now we can't go to like a specific neighborhood as easily, but what we might do is each card is a neighborhood in that 15-mile radius. So if we're targeting a 15-mile radius and there's say 5 neighborhoods in that area, or 5 kind of different distinct areas, we'll do each card being like search homes in Langley, search homes in Surrey. And we'll do it that way where we're kind of mailing it down that way. And that's one way kind of around it. But for the most part, we prefer a single image if our goal is leads. If we want higher quality leads or we want the branding boost of video, then we'll put in a video instead. Or if it's something unusual. What I mean that like if you have an offer that not a lot of other agents are doing, like we have a client who he emails his database 5 days a week. And basically he gets to the office every morning, he opens up the MLS and be like, here's the new listings on the market. These ones are good deals and here's why. These ones are bad deals and here's why. And then he emails that out to his database 5 days a week. We run ad campaigns to get people to sign up for those 5 day a week's email. Very few agents do this. So most people don't know what it is. So for him, the actual best lead gen was a video of him explaining what it is. And that was our goal there, is let's let people get a good feel for what's happening here. And especially since it's 5 days a week of emailing, we want them to see that it's a real person behind and who it is to build that connection. But that's one of the few instances where we get cheaper leads off video over an image. Almost every single time, images beat videos for leads. I recommend not doing stock photography. If you do have to, we actually can tell you which house gets the most leads from the stock photography. And it's basically the same one every time. We go house. Just wait for it to load here. And it is this one. For some reason, this house, no matter how many houses we tested against, always wins. You'll be prepared for a lot of comments if you use it that are like, where's this house? I want it. So if you're getting a custom building, if you model a home after this, apparently it's super desirable in almost everywhere we test it. But people love this house and it stands out in the feed. But my main advice for picking an image and why I think this works is because it is a kind of a cool looking house that a lot of people seem to like, is your image actually has one goal and one goal only, and that's to get people to stop and look at your ad. So like we've tested it and we've seen other people test it. Like for example, one of the most effective ads we've run to get people to stop and look is we just threw a cartoon pink unicorn in the ad image. And it was such like a weird thing for people to see in their feed that they just stopped and looked, but then they read the ad. We've done it with other things like that where, I think this, you have to make sure it matches your branding. Like we had a client that we used the poop emoji quite a bit and it worked really, really well. I'll explain that one in a couple minutes, but your main goal here with the image is to get people to stop and look, which means a nice house, your face can do it, or like a just sold would be a great example. You will get way more traction advertising a sold if you use a photo of the sellers holding the sold rider in front of the house than you will doing like a fancy designed graphic with your branding on it, because that fancy designed graphic screams ad. And so people who are scrolling really fast will just scroll right by it because they know it's an ad. But if it's someone holding a sold rider up, they'll stop to look to see if they know who that is. And now they've stopped to look at it because they want to see if they want to congratulate a friend or something. Because like on average, people scroll like 300 feet a day with their thumb. And they're going pretty fast through it. So to get them to stop, that's the goal of your image. That's all we want the majority of the time, is just stop and look. Then after that, we look at the headline. So that's the part that's coming here under the image. And we're always very literal with our headline, which is we tell them exactly what they're getting. So in this case, if it's a listing, we'll put for sale in square brackets. The reason I do that is a lot of times if you don't put specifically for sale, you get a lot of messages asking about a lease. And I know a lot of our clients just get annoyed by that constant question of, oh, can I lease this? Can I rent it? And that type of thing. But by putting for sale, it cuts the majority of that out. You'll still get the odd message of people being like, would they consider renting instead? But that's not super common. But we do that. And then we'll either generally go like one of two options here. Sometimes we'll just put the address right in it and then like do something like that. And other times what we'll do will be like 4-bedroom detached in Langley. And we'll put something like that. The reason now, especially, we put in like Langley, like before the special category ads, we did that just a little extra recognition. And then now it's to narrow it down as like a targeting thing, because people in Langley are more likely to stop on one. It's like, Anna, no, put that away, please. I don't want you to eat. Nope, you want to put that away. Don't eat that. No, that's not something to eat. No, can you please go watch TV? I'll come after and get you I will get you sprinkles later. Sorry, guys. No, hey, Daddy's on a call right now, okay? I know. I'll help you out after. Okay. And that's the one without attitude. I don't know how much of that you guys could hear, but we'll keep going. So 4-bedroom detached home, again, like I go very literal in this. If you put the address in, you will get a certain amount of people who just jump in and, Google the address and skip your ad. But we found that that's actually hasn't been a big deal. So if you don't want people to do that, like essentially the more information you take out of the ad about the property, the more people will opt in. Like if you take out the price, it brings your cost per lead down. But then you get a lot of, oh, I just want to know the price, or a lot of comments like, why don't you just tell me the price? But that's up to you what you want. So it's a testing thing for each of you of like, where are you and like which information to include versus not. But just know the less information you include, the more leads you'll get. And I see there's a question. Can you use a generic pic of someone holding a sold sign if your client doesn't want to be on social media, or other restrictions or copyright to that? I mean, if you go to a stock photo site where you're allowed and you can get one, sure. What I would do is if your clients aren't willing, is I just get a photo of you holding the sold sign in front of it. Like it's always better to put a person in the ad. Like my uncle used to joke, like, don't just take a picture of a nice view, take a picture of you in front of the nice view, because otherwise you might as well just buy a postcard from a professional photographer. It's still better to put yourself in it if you can't get your clients. In an ideal world, it'd actually be you and your clients. And then tell a little bit of a story about it. But here again, like we just go very basic like this. So I'll just put like, 123 Main Street, Langley. I mean, because you guys are also now, like, depending on exactly where you put your pin, it might go into the US. You might want to put in this, but this could just be like, or I just put in BC. But that might just be more a testing thing as you go. That makes sense of like, because you are right on that border, your ad might go into the US, you might have to put that in so that you don't get Americans opting in. But until we kind of see what the direct impacts are, it's going to be hard to say specifically. Then we come up here to the primary text. The way that we treat the primary text here is our goal is to get people to like filter themselves out who not. Hannah, Daddy's on a call. No? Okay, give me the remote. All right, go back. It should be working now. It should be working now. Thank you. The TV hit the "Are you still watching?" moment, and that disrupted their life. Okay, Hannah, you guys are gonna have to go play on your iPad then, okay? Because Daddy's busy for now. Okay, thank you. So, sorry, I lost my train of thought. So yeah, we treat the text here like a movie trailer. We're giving them enough information to get interested, but not so much that they have everything they want. They have to reach out to you to get the rest. Like, and that's really the goal. Like a lot of people try to like sell the house in this ad, and that's not the point here. The ad, like you're more selling them reaching out to you. Like the next step after this ad is them talking to you. So that's what you're selling more than the actual house itself per se. And that's like each piece here sells the next. So like the image, the goal is to get them to stop and check out what it is. Then they come here like, oh, it's a house for sale. I might be interested in that. Then they come up and read what's up here. This is now further selling, them reaching out to you. So just don't think of like my goal here is to get someone to book a showing from the ad, because almost no one will see an ad that first time and immediately book a showing. You need to kind of ease them into a little bit. So we might just come in and we often open with questions right now, and that can help narrow it down. Or even if we're doing like a seller focused ad, we'll, instead of saying like, want to find out what your home is worth, we'll say, thinking of selling your home, ? And anyone who says yes to that will keep going. Now, because of the rules, like say I only worked in Surrey and I wanted, even though I now have to go wider than Surrey with my ad. Yeah, go with Hannah and watch the iPad, okay? Daddy's busy right now. Thank you. We'll go in and just say, do you want to sell your Langley home? And what will happen there is people who don't live in Langley who see that will basically scroll right by it. People who live in Langley are more likely to stop. And as more people do that, Facebook will start optimizing your ad for people in Langley over everywhere else. So you're using the copy to help train Facebook's algorithm to put it in front of the right people. It just means that your ads will have to run a little bit longer than usual till you know if they're working. But we use the copy here as that way for targeting. So if it was say there's a 4-bedroom detached, we'd be like, I'm looking for a 4-bedroom detached home with a pool and like basically we just open with a question of like some major selling points. Then we just come in here and we give like, what are the top 3-4 selling points about the home? So like basically what are the main things that would drive someone in? You don't have, like similar like when I talk about listing videos, like in a listing video, you don't have to show every bathroom unless they're the coolest bathrooms ever. You don't need to show the hallways between bedrooms. That's not the point of the video, is to show them every inch. It's to get them excited to want to come see the home. It's the same thing here. You're just hitting the major points without giving everything because it's not important right now. So we just do, and this 3-4 selling points, there's 2 ways we either recommend doing it. Just doing 2 or 3 sentences, because you don't want to just have like a big block of text. You want it to be broken up so it's easy to skim. So you either do it as like 2 or 3 sentences, or you'd come in and do like, put in, hold on, it's not letting me. I can do like bullet points. I was trying to do it with emoji, but it wasn't letting me there for a sec, but it looks like we can now. So I might just put like, 4 bedrooms, and then just come in again, put another emoji there and do it that way. And that way we just keep putting it on. You can do something like that. And then now it just keeps bringing in so my computer's been glitching lately. Now every time I try to do an emoji, every time I then hit it, it pops up the emoji menu again. It's annoying. So here, then I just add in my CTA. So that is basically what I want them to do as the next step. We found if you don't specifically say, reach out for X, then you'll get about 20% less people doing it. So even if it's obvious that they should reach out to you for more information, tell them exactly what to do. So in this case, I would change this sign up button to a learn more button. And my CTA would be click learn more to get more information about this property. Because it just makes them more likely to do it. And then you go from there. At the top here, you can also put an emoji. An emoji can help break it up and get more attention. The important thing to note with emoji is it still should, like, it's more important that it fits your branding than emoji. Yes, it can get a little bit extra attention, but it should fit your branding too. If you're the type of person who would never send an emoji to someone, I wouldn't put them in your ads. Think of it like how I would communicate with clients. If you would communicate with clients with emojis, put them in. And then even then, understanding what emojis they are. Like if you don't know what an eggplant emoji is, don't put it in your ad.
Daddy, can I watch a dinosaur movie?
Okay, but Daddy's busy right now, so I'm gonna have to do it after, okay?
Will you
after, okay? I promise. After. I know. But I will come after. I'm busy right now, okay? Thank you. Sorry. They seem to have hit their tipping point. That's okay because we're almost near the end. Hannah, Daddy's busy right now. No. Okay, but not right now. You go in the other room. I will be there soon. Nope. Later. Thank you. So yeah, so the emoji, like if you know what they mean, it's okay. Put them in. Like I have an agent that puts the eggplant emoji in his ads. He knows exactly what that means when he does that. If you don't do it. But when we're looking at like numbers, 1 to 4 emojis seems to be that right number where it still gets some extra attention and still works. Sometimes there's exceptions. Like I mentioned before, we sold a house with the poop emoji. That was actually, we had a client who had a listing that part of the house blew up in a meth lab explosion. And when they first ran the ad, just as like a generic home for sale, every comment was like, wait, isn't this the house that blew up in the meth lab explosion? And the people like started linking to the article. So what we did instead is we switched it and we said, have we got the 8 poop emoji home for you? Calling all contractors, this home blew up in a meth lab explosion. It needs work. It's priced accordingly. Are you up for the challenge? And that blew up. Like everyone started commenting on it. Half the comments were just like people laughing, but then half the people were like tagging their agents and their contractor friends. Then one guy ended up tagging his contractor buddy, who then tagged his agent with the term and then said, like, write up an offer. Let's go see this place tonight. And they ended up buying it. But it was like that poop emoji just in their feed in a professional thing, like really blew up. Whereas we have other clients where we've suggested that who are in similar situations. The poop emoji does not fit their brand and they would never do it. So again, still has to fit your brand and make sense, but that's roughly how we structure these types of ads. And then the last piece here for you guys, if you're doing a lead gen, is you have to create a form. So the first thing, you give it a title. So here in this case, it'd be like 123 Main Street. Like I mentioned before, if you click on the ad and a lot of people just like accidentally hit submit, that's because you're on more volume. If you want them to have to slide their thumb across the screen to confirm they're giving you their contact information, you can put it to higher intent. And this basically just makes them confirm they're giving you their contact info. You will get less leads if you do that, but it's really up to you if that's something you want. My recommendation for all of you is test both and see which one you like better. Some clients don't even notice a huge difference, so then you might as well get more volume. The next section here is an intro. So when they click on it, there's an intro page. To be honest, I just get rid of this. We haven't seen it helped ever the quality or quantity of leads. It's only ever hurt, as it seems to serve as a page to convince people not to opt in. So we just get rid of it. Then we come into questions here. So it'll default to email and full name. If you come up here, you can add in the phone number. If you're gonna have these integrate directly into your CRM, the first thing you just gotta check with your CRM is, do they want full name or do they want first name and last name separated? Most CRMs, it's okay to do either, but every now and then we have come across one where if we put full name, it doesn't work. It has to be separated into first and last. If that's the case, you just take out the full name, come back here into user information, and then switch it to first and last this way. But that's really the only real consideration for these. And the last one is you can add in custom questions. So if you want a slightly higher quality lead sometimes, just ask them a custom question. So we'll just come in here and be like, multiple choice. When do you want to be in your next home? And here we'll do like 0 to 60 days, 60 to 120. Or actually, no, we normally do it better this way. Sorry. I was thinking of a different ad that we did for that. So 0 to 3 months, 3 to 6 months. And this normally just gives you all the information you like often need to know for this part. 12 plus months. Done. And now that way, it just adds an extra step and it's good. But adding 1, 2, 3 questions will get you slightly higher quality lead. But again, every time you add something in, it's less people opting in. The one question we found we don't like putting here is, are you working with an agent already? because a lot of people will put that in. Now, I know your guys' rules are different now around double ending. So maybe you do need to put that in now, or it makes more sense for you guys. But it does help you when you're following up. But we found even if you want to put in like, are you working with an agent? Saying, are you working with an agent means like maybe they're just getting an email. You might prefer to be like, do you have a signed contract with an agent already? But again, I know like your guys' local rules, it's a little different now with the double ending thing. But we generally found that we don't like putting that, are you working with an agent piece there. But that's up to you. You can put in anything you want here. The only thing you can't do is ask for personal information like budget. Basically, Facebook thinks it's wrong to ask people their financials. So if you're like, even what your budget is for a home is considered personal financial information, and they will deny your ad. So instead, just be like, what type of home are you looking for if that's the type of thing you want to do? But normally a question like this is mostly what we want to be. It's like either when do you want to be in your next home or when would you like to move next? Something like that. If we do a custom question at all. Then we just have to fill out the rest. You do need a privacy policy to advertise. If you don't have it on your website, Shopify will give you a free privacy policy. They have a tool just called the free privacy policy generator. You have to get a free Shopify account, but you can sign up, get a free account, get your free privacy policy generator, then shut your account down because you don't need it. But you get that, you can put it onto your site. You just need the link. Like most privacy policies, and like, don't worry, no one will ever read this ever. If you need one just in the interim, you can also potentially use your brokerages if they have one on their website. And a lot of website providers, depending on who you use, if you just message them and say, hey, could you put a privacy policy on my website? They just have a generic one they can drop on your website anyways. Then we just put view here. Again, no one ever clicks on this, so it doesn't matter. It's just a Facebook requirement that you check that box. And then completion. So this to me is actually a very underrated piece of ads. So whether it's this, because now they've opted in, you have their information. So whether it's doing it at a form or on a landing page, the thank you page is the most misused piece I've seen. And the reason being, like, you got a lead. Now's the time to take it a step further with them, right? Like, it's not the time to say, thanks, we'll be in touch. Offer them something else of value. So if they're opting into a listing, like sometimes that means, like, depending on how you're set up, you actually have to come in here and just say, like, you know, view 123 Main Street details, but you're sending them somewhere. Or if they're opting in and you know realistically the person who buys this home would have to sell their current home, we might instead say, need to sell your current home to buy your next. And then we'll say, click below to find out what your home would get for, if you were to sell it today on the market. Click below. And then here we just come in and say, get your free home value report. And that way you're using this as another opportunity to get more information about them and deepen the relationship by providing more value. So never just leave it off as great, we'll be in touch. Offer them something else. And we found that by doing this, it helps us identify higher quality leads and get more out of it. So anytime you have a thank you page, always offer them something else on top of what you're already doing. And it really does help quite a bit. And then one thing to note, last thing with these forms, the second you hit publish, you cannot edit these anymore. They're permanent uneditable. So if you make a mistake, you have to go and create a brand new form next time. So just keep that in mind, that before you finish, come through, check everything that you're happy with it, no spelling mistakes, all that fun stuff. Because once you hit publish, it's done. You could only duplicate it and edit the duplicate from there forward. Is there any questions about this? Good.
That's a ton of information there, buddy.
Yeah. That's why you record it.
I did. I was just going to pop in my, I'm sure, and obviously you're okay with that, but I will record it and I will make it available to anybody who would, within our organization, who would like to see it. But
yeah. And then now the ad's done, you just click publish and you're good to go. And it'll take anywhere. So if it's your first time running ads, it could take a little bit longer. Usually within an hour or two, your ads will be live. Once in a while, it might, technically it's up to like 48 hours, but it's normally pretty straightforward. And like, I know some of this might be overwhelming because there's a lot of information we went through here. So if you ever have questions, feel free to reach out. Like, if it's just answering an email, like we don't charge for that type of stuff. We're always happy to answer. And if you want to jump on like an hour-long solo training, there, we will charge for things like that. But if you're just looking for some feedback, always happy to quickly answer some questions and stuff like that. So hope you guys found it valuable and you're able to get some stuff that'll work for you. I just appreciate you guys for your time and your patience with the little ones in the background.
I don't know about you guys, but I think there's a lot of information there. I appreciate what Andrew does for a living, because I've tried running ads and with limited success at times, and other times I go, holy crap, what's all this stuff? Our goal here, like with these sessions that we're doing, is we're trying to give people some tools on how to make their business better, and ultimately, find where the sweet spots are. That again, when I started out like a couple of decades ago, boy, I had the best print ads running in the newspaper, boy. Just needless to say, that's pretty much not going to happen anymore. But anyway, I want to very much, if anybody got any questions, anything else for Andrew? Because, I see that he's done a great job corralling his family, and certainly we appreciate his efforts to come out. I guess it's in late afternoon in your world.
Yeah.
I'll also share his contact information with you and with everyone to make so anybody would like to get a hold of him. But ultimately, this is what he does for a living, and him and his company. So, in fact, if you're typical realtors, which most of us are, and you need someone to take this on, I'm pretty sure that's what Andrew would like to hear from.
So let's put my website, if you just want to learn more about us, justsellhomes.com in the chat. And if you want to book a call with me, book andrew.ca, just redirects to my calendar booking link, and you can actually just book calls right in my calendar.
Perfect. Well, we do want to thank you and for coming out. And again, anyone who wants to reach out, and I'm sure Andrew will do his best to do. But on top of that, I'd like to thank everyone for taking the 90 minutes today, or almost just short of 90 minutes, and come out and all fairness, focus on making your business better. Andrew, a part of your program for you is we will, as a group, make a donation to the CMN hospital in your neighborhood, in your name.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Speaking of, the fact that those little ones, I hope they never ever have to be there. But you know what?
We were in the NICU when the youngest was or oldest was born. So
there you go.
We appreciate it.
Cool. Well, we will make a donation in your name to the hospital in your region to make sure that that little bit of give back from us is appreciated. Other than that, I want to thank you everyone for their times, and I will record this and I'll share the link with it for anybody who would like to watch it. It will be available, I don't know, hopefully this afternoon later. But anyway, you're welcome to share it within the office to anybody who would like to see it. But again, Andrew, I appreciate your time, my friend, and I look forward to the opportunity to talk again. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Hope you guys all have a great day. Enjoy your weekend.
Perfect. Anyway, well, thank you, everybody. Just for a quick note, our next session will be February the 12th. So that's a month from now, 11 o'clock on February the 12th. And our guest on that day will be the CEO of REMAX International, which is Adam Cantos. Adam will come out and he's going to kind of share what the marketplace is doing in the world. He's going to talk about how the various challenges that the COVID has brought onto the real estate market, as well as where the success regions are, and most of North America is doing pretty well. But he will be here for an information session a little over a month from today. Other than that, I wish you all the best, and have a great day, great weekend. If you're a realtor, go sell some. Thanks for coming out. Cheers.
I like pretend people.